A year or so later, two young men happened upon us when we were making dens. They made us feel very grown up. I thought we were going to kiss. How exciting. An older man was interested in me. I soon found out I hadn't really understood the situation. So, first there was Damien, who said he wouldn't hurt me. Then there was Terry, who said he was my boyfriend. That particular day I was wearing jeans. First he got my trust, then he got me alone. Sure, the same thing happened to my den-making friend, though we never spoke of it. Jeans. Hard-wearing, casual trousers made of denim and other cotton fabric. It was the 70s, so they would have been flared. I used to find the button too stiff. It'd be a lot easier next time if you wore a skirt. Yes, that is actually what he said. And still, no one knew or guessed what had happened to me. In fact, I didn't know what had happened to me. Well, you had no meaningful frame of reference. People don't talk about adults who use and exploit children. There were some vague warnings about strangers and puppies that weren't much use to me. I didn't see any puppies. Do people talk about it more nowadays? It doesn't come up naturally in conversation. It's become harder to avoid talking about it, but it's still not easy. I suppose it makes people uncomfortable. It scares them, and no one likes to be scared. I started to feel scared all the time, as though something were coming to get me. And always the uneasiness of turning into a new creature. My body was changing. My wings didn't seem to work very well. Perhaps they were just decorative. I became constantly wary. When I tried to sleep, as soon as I shut my eyes or turned my back, I felt as though something was creeping up on me. Something under the bed or in the wardrobe. Soon I took to checking these places every couple of minutes. I had to keep checking because I couldn't trust my own eyes and I couldn't feel safe. When I understood my precautions were inadequate, I started sleeping with a pair of scissors under my pillow, and I put my guitar against the door so I would hear if anyone came in. I continued doing this into my early 20s, when a boyfriend pointed out that it wasn't quite the norm, but I still didn't tell. I hadn't been alarmed at first when Damien had wandered up. It was casually, as though he was just passing. He didn't make me feel nervous or uncomfortable. Come back, I won't hurt you. That seems like a strange thing for him to say. He looked in amusement at the game I was playing, as adults do, then asked me questions I didn't understand, as though he thought I was much older than I was. He told me he lived on Chapel Street nearby. He was practiced at soothing me through the shock of what he did next. When I became alarmed enough to break through my fear and wriggle away, I ran quickly to within sight of the houses. He couldn't follow, as he didn't want to be seen, and I realise now he had his trousers down, so he couldn't run. You'd think I would be put off intimacy by what happened to me, but it doesn't often work like that. Children don't rationalise things the way adults do. They like attention, and girls have their own sexual curiosity. But they don't have enough life experience to see through the lies their abusers tell them to make them comply. Once you've been broken into, your defences don't work quite so well, and those who mean you harm are on the lookout for this. Finding out you're not even safe in your own body is deeply traumatic, unfortunately. Traumatised children can develop behaviour that the adults around them perceive as delinquent. So there's punishment and further marginalisation. So adults are excused while children are blamed. But being exploited because you were vulnerable is not the same as giving consent. Hindsight is a marvellous thing. Yorkshire Evening Post, 30th of June 1977. An open message to the Ripper. You have killed 5 times now. In less than 2 years you have butchered 5 women in Leeds and Bradford. Your motive, it's believed, is a dreadful hate for prostitutes. A hate that drives you to stab and bludgeon your victims. But inevitably, that twisted passion went terribly wrong on Sunday. An innocent 16-year-old lass, a happy, respectable working-class girl from a decent Leeds family, crossed your path. How did you feel yesterday when you learned that your blood-stained crusade against streetwalkers had gone so horribly wrong? That your vengeful knife had found so innocent a target? Sick in mind though you undoubtedly are, there must have been some spark of remorse as you rid yourself of Jane's bloodstains. Is it not time for you to seek help, to call a halt to your slaughter before another Jane falls to your knife? Someone, somewhere in this city probably knows your secret. A wife, a mother, a sister. People whose love for you keeps their lips sealed. Now they too carry your burden. Your infamous predecessor, Jack the Ripper, carved his victims in London's gaslit streets in the 1880s. Unlike the Ripper, no rope awaits you. Only understanding treatment, in spite of the ghastliness of your crimes. If there are to be no more Jane MacDonalds on your growing list of victims, now is the time to end your vengeance and seek help for yourself. If you wish to unburden yourself, to free both yourself and possibly your family from the frightening shadows you have cast, you need only pick up a telephone. The numbers to ring are Leeds 434297 or Leeds 454173. Talk to the police. They are ready to help. Unsure how to get a boyfriend of my own, but keen to try out my new powers. I borrowed someone else's boyfriend for an hour or two to try it out. He seemed pleased about this at the time, but when his girlfriend found out, if you hate Una, clap your hands, etc, etc, etc. Slut, slag. I wasn't at home, so I didn't hear them, but my dad did. Don't you ever, I never want to hear anything like that again, do you hear? Quite soon, and quite by accident, I got a real, actual boyfriend I could show to people. I hadn't meant for this to happen, but as usual, I hadn't really understood the situation. He liked music from the 60s. It was all too beautiful, apparently. He was older than me, and he was repulsive. Everyone thought so. It used to make me feel quite sick. Other kids laughed at me, but I was happy because I was longing to be loved. My mum found out about repulsive Robert and took me to the doctor to be put on the pill. She didn't want me to suffer the way she had. Fat slag. Slut, slag. An unfortunate side effect of the contraceptive pill was that when they found out I took it, boys felt even more entitled to my body. I didn't find love, but I lived in hope, which insistently triumphed over experience. The rule was that girls were supposed to keep boys under control. I didn't seem able to do this. Boys were not expected to control themselves. Girls had to be sexy, but not too sexy. And although the rate at which girls grew was completely beyond their control, they had to be careful not to let their breasts and thighs alarm people. Girls were required to do sexual things to be thought desirable, but they had to do these things without revealing their own needs. They were even allowed to do it, so long as they kept it a secret. Boys were required to be proud of being sexual, so it wasn't a secret for long. Slut was the worst thing a girl could be. Girls who could recognise a slut in their midst couldn't possibly be sluts themselves, so this was a popular line of defence. Once you've been branded, nothing you do or say makes any difference. There was another slut in my school. I heard some boys shout it at her in the corridor. I never got to talk to her about it, but I thought she was beautiful. This is how I found out I had something called a reputation that I was supposed to have been looking after. Oh. I didn't even get a good look at it before it was gone.